guys, how's it going? So not a whole lot going on today in terms of big projects or planting or like pretty things. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be weeding the lawn. Sounds exciting, right? So I'm standing up underneath the crabapple tree in our front lawn where we are trying to get the grass established, and it has come up beautifully, but also a beautiful large crop of weeds came up as well, and the grass is not established enough yet to start any kind of weed control in here. So I'm going to try to at least pull all the big weeds out here because there are some really tall ones. Like they're starting to look shrub-esque. So like right here under the crabapple, the lawn is wonderful. There's some buttonweeds in there. There are some patchy areas that we knew we were gonna have to reseed, but like see all right here? Do you see that little yellow blooms? Those are all puncture vines. All of that. The beauty of puncture vines, that seems like a weird statement. The beauty of puncture vines is that when you weed them, they're massive. So like one puncture vine will cover like 2 square feet. So it's kind of an easy job to do, really. I don't expect to get this whole grass area done. I just have a few hours to dedicate to this project. But what I was hoping is like the most condensed areas of weeds, I wanted to get those handled because I don't want the puncture vines to set more of their little seeds. And they're blooming right now, so it's a good time to get them out. Okay, so as point of reference, here's the house. If I swing this way, that's where the blue spruce just came out. This is all flower bed to the lane. And then the grass section is here. And then Benny and his guys, they've been working on the irrigation out on the new, like around the cut flower garden area. But the next project is to put in the brick walkway right here. So this looks very patchy right here. It's actually not going to be grass. So where the white flags are, all of this, it'll cut in right here. So all of that will be a nice tidy line, and there'll be a brick walkway coming from the driveway over here up to the front, and then the right hand side of it is all flower bed as well. So like this area you can see is kind of patchy. We may have to reseed a little bit, but honestly, even this, if we kind of let it get up a little bit, we start mowing it, and then once we can fertilize, it will fill in so fast. I'm not worried about picking these little button weeds and things like that. It's more things like locust tree seedlings, the bigger button weeds, and all of these puncture vines. Oh my mercy. There's also purslane, which is edible. You can put this in salads and stuff. I don't, but you could. There are some grassy weeds in here. I see a surprising lack of bindweed, which is awesome. So we may have got at least that one under control. So anyway, I'm gonna go to the barn. I'll show you what spray we've been using. I'm gonna grab our kangaroo pop-up bags, and then I'm just gonna get after it. I'm not using any kind of tool. I'm just using my hands. No gloves because I like to feel what I'm doing. Anyway, that's the plan. And Aaron, I think, is gonna come in and out and help. And Benjamin's out here too. Are you going to help me weed?
Yeah.
We need to go to the barn. We need to get the kangaroo pop-up bag.
Yeah, can you hold that?
You want to film some stuff?
We're going to plant some weeds.
We're not planting weeds. See, this is what we're doing today, bud. See this? This is a purslane. What we're going to do today is we are going to pull it up right by the roots. You see that? That's what we're working on. Oh. And some of the bigger button weeds like this.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think your daddy watered last night, so it'd be nice and soft for us to pull weeds. Look at that.
What? Oh, I see.
Do you see? That's what we're going to work on today. Oh man, Benjamin already lost interest. I showed him how to pick like 3 weeds, and he was like, nah, I'm going to go back inside. I did a lot of weeding growing up, and I remember well, everything seems huge when you're a kid, right? So when I had to weed on my parents' vegetable garden, I felt like it was going to take me days to do it. Now I look at it and I'm like, it's like I don't know, an hour worth of work out there. But the worst chore that we had when we saw on our chore list, because we had chore lists every Tuesday and Saturdays, we had daily stuff like animal chores, but we'd have a more extensive chore list on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And whenever I saw weed the orchard wall, that was the worst. Because the orchard wall, kind of steep and full of red ants. Builds character. We're gonna use all 3 of these right there. I recently ordered 2 more of these collapsible bags because look at, I really just need to toss these. They're getting really ripped up. These are the Fiskars pop-up bag with the hard shell bottom. Love them. It's kind of satisfying, honestly, to do this. I probably won't think that in a couple hours, but here we go. All right, guys, so I've been at it for about 2 hours. I think I'm gonna call it the weeding and just work on it incrementally because it's such a nice day out today. I think I wanna go maybe plant a couple of things. So doesn't it look better? I got the weeding done just about to the first maple tree. So this whole section right in here. And this is where it was like extra thick. Right over here, tons of puncture vine over here. That huge big section that we looked at is all gone. Doesn't it look better? I cannot wait for it to fill in. Right now, it's just crazy how like this dirt, soil, whatever, look at how it dries, how wet or how white it is. But if you just kind of rough it up, there's actually moisture in the soil. But it doesn't look like it, does it? It's pretty crazy. But we'll get there. So I'm thinking like even if I spent an hour for the next several days and just did, you know, a little section here and there, I can get this done pretty quickly. The rest of it, there are a couple of thicker spots like right here and a couple toward the far end there. But I think I took care of the worst of it up toward the house, so that feels good. And as I was pulling those weeds, I was just so thankful that I was able to get out here and do it today and then over the next few days, because those puncture vines have already set their seeds. There are just those little, we'll put one on the screen, what they look like. They're seed pods, but they're full of thorns. They're just the most horrible things. So they've already set those seeds, but they are not ripe enough to fall off the plants yet. So I just essentially like annihilated a whole new crop of puncture vine, which is awesome. There's still puncture vine seeds in the soil, so we'll continue to get crops of them, but they'll get weaker and weaker and weaker if we can stay on top of getting them out of the ground. And also, as I was pulling, like that was really the only option in this space, because one, we can't spray it yet. Even if we did spray it, if the grass was more mature, it wouldn't kill the seeds that were there, because these seeds, they'll like live through everything. And then if we also sprayed weeds that were as big as some of those were, we just have big dead weeds in the grass that we'd have to go clean up anyway. So it just felt good getting out there, pulling them by their roots. I got the roots on most everything. So yeah, I think it's worth the effort, really. All right, Gator is chock full of weeds. I'm gonna go grab that, and I think we'll run and grab some plants. One of the high tunnels got completely bent in the windstorm, so we had to take the plastic off of it. Anyway, I kind of want to go grab some of those plants and maybe get them in the ground. Okay, so these plants right here, I have two different types, a Arctic Fire Yellow Dogwood and the Prairie Winds Apache Rose Panicum here. I'm wanting to put those kind of back in this area right here, and Aaron said he'd come out here and dig the holes for me with the auger. So while I'm waiting for him, it shouldn't be long, but maybe I can get just like this little patch of weeds done quick. And for those of you who do not have puncture vines in your area, this is what they look like. This right here is just one, and then that one's one. And these are kind of small, like they can get really, really big. But what they do is they form these right here. They look like a medieval torture instrument, and they're just all over these plants right here. And then they drop these seeds, so they turn brown, they get really hard, they drop them, and they can last for like 5 years or more in the soil. And so they're bad news. And they'll pop tires and all sorts of things. So they're just horrid weeds. Fairly easy to pull though, thankfully. They usually don't set any of those puncture things right here. We call them goat heads. But they don't set them really close to the base. So if you're careful, you can gather it up at the base and pull it out. Of course, that one didn't come up by the roots. My one example. It's right along the driveway here, though, where the soil is really compacted. Let's do this one. Hopefully this one will come up. Yeah. They're fairly shallow rooted. Wretched weeds. All right, guys, I love these plants. Every time we put another plant out here, it just kind of helps me with I have a vision for what it's going to be in the end. But when you're looking at, a lot of the stuff we're still looking at here, it can be a little tough at times to be like, well, someday it's going to look really lush and pretty. Do you think that when you look out there? Okay, so we're going to have to use our imaginations. And we do have the sprinklers in for our grass pathway on the inside of these orange flags. You can kind of see the trajectory to the flower garden. That will be a 15-foot grass walkway, which Aaron bought the seed. So we will be seeding that here fairly soon, and that'll be nice. Once we get that up and going, we'll get it nice and edged, and we'll have have it mulched right up to that. And then we just planted these firelight tidbits on either side, surrounded by denim and lace Russian sage. That should be a really beautiful, low maintenance entryway to this area. We hardly have to do anything to these plants. And that's kind of the goal with everything we put out here. We don't want it to be a tremendous amount of maintenance, and we need the plants to be fairly tough. So, redbud tree here, and I can't remember how big it grows. Maybe roughly 25-30 feet-ish, and maybe 25 feet wide. I'm fairly close, I think. But anyway, it's a pretty good sized tree in the end. But all new garden spaces are really interesting in that when you start from scratch, you are really just gardening a full sun area until your trees put on some size, which can be several years down the road. So we just plant for full sun, and then as we need to, we transition those plants to more shade-loving plants, like more part sun, part shade, and then maybe in the end, closer to the trunk of the tree, it'll become like a full shade area. So it's just all part of the process. So for now, I'm gardening like everything is just going to be in full sun for a while. So I'm thinking about taking the denim and lace and just kind of continuing it. So I kind of have like this really big drift of denim and lace. I know what I'm going to plant here. I think I'm going to do it next week. But these plants look awesome. I love it. So the Apache rose grow 4 feet tall and almost 3 feet wide, like just under. So they'll be a significant plant right here. I think they'll be really nice. You see the hose faucet there. We've just been putting, like everywhere we're trenching, we just tell them put faucets, put whatever we can fit in these areas to make it more pleasant. We try to do that. So anyway, they haven't backfilled the trench because they're going to set a post in there. We may put a hose link out here, a charcoal one. I think would be nice. But anyway, the Apache rose, they are a zone 4 through 9, and they're really tough grasses. As are the Arctic Fire Yellow Dogwoods. Both of them can withstand a really wide range of soil conditions, and the Apache rose can take full sun. Like, it's one of the easier grasses to grow in full sun, and it's a good thing because it's gonna get it out here. And then the Arctic Fire Yellow Dogwoods, they were actually new this year. So I got them last spring to try them out, and we just didn't get around to getting them in the ground. I'm really happy with how they look out here. I think they'll be great. They do full sun, but they actually will take a lot of shade too. They're one of the most shade tolerant shrubs out there. So you can see they have white blooms there that are followed by little berries. They're starting to form right there. And then bright yellow stems in the wintertime, which I think will be absolutely beautiful right here. And they grow 4 to 5 feet tall and 5 to 6 feet wide, so pretty good size, zone 2 through 7. The interesting thing about dogwoods is that they do color up, like they have brighter colored stems on newer wood. So you do want to keep that in mind because you can prune them one of 2 different ways. Now, if you're using your dogwoods as a screen for something, then the way you want to prune them is just every year go in and take out like a third of the older branches. So the older branches turn like a brown kind of corky color, and you can take some of those out, and that way it kind of just gives the shrub more energy to produce more new growth, and that way you don't reduce the size of the shrub. You'll keep your size. You'll also keep your blooms every year, because the stuff that you leave, because it blooms on old wood, those will have the opportunity to bloom and produce berries. Now, if size doesn't matter, if you don't care about the blooms or whatever, because oftentimes we're just growing them for the stem color anyway, you can do your pruning every other year and just cut the whole shrub back pretty drastically. It is an easier way to do it because you can kind of just willy-nilly go in there and cut it back, and you don't have to worry about like selectively pruning anything out. But in that case, you are going to keep it shorter, on the shorter side, because, you know, it has a harder time, I don't know, getting to that full size when you're cutting it back continually every other year. And then both of these plants I will fertilize in the spring, and that's probably all they will get. They got the Biotone starter fertilizer today, land and seed compost, and they're just going to be beautiful out here, I think. Look what we have here. We've got the orange parade. Oh, look at that. Russell's like, yes. Oh, you guys like the dogwood. Hey, Cheddar. All right, so nicely weeded grass right up here. It looks so good, especially when you stand back like this. It just looks, oh, so nice. And we've got some crops going on out there we'll take care of. Super happy about this. Anyway, that's it, you guys. Super productive day, and I actually really love getting out with a bucket and just weeding and fussing. I get asked a lot what I listen to. If I listen to podcasts or music, I actually don't listen to anything. I just like to hear nature. And I can let my mind wander. It's actually the best time for me to like think about projects, planting projects and design and things like that. So it was a really, really wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.